Hey, what's up you guys? This is Rob from The Gay Guy Plays, and today on Doing It Raw, we're making sure the blood rushes to all the right places when we take a look at how to mod melee weapons for crit damage. So, since the release, body count and blood rush has been one of the most iconic mod pairings in the game. However, from my conversations with some people in our community, the overarching view on it is, I just kinda toss it on and let it do its thing. Now, while that is fine and dandy, I figured I'd get my hands on it and run a few numbers to really see how to optimize the pairing, when you'd want to use it with True Steel, the effects of the Deadly Intent Narrow Mod Focus, and exactly how effective Organ Shatter is with it. Alright, now I do need to toss in a bit of a disclaimer before we move on. I'm just here to give you the facts and figures so that you're cognizant of what your mods are doing to your builds. There's nothing wrong with building for just yellow crits. There's nothing wrong with building for all red crits. Hell, there's nothing even wrong with building for status, as long as you are fully aware of what the effects are on your weapon's performance. Do what you like, just know what you're doing. So let's start off with the simplest playtest, which would be the effectiveness of Organ Shatter. Now, if you're attempting a 100% or close to 100% crit build, Organ Shatter is definitely something that you want to consider, as it provides a crap ton of damage. Now, I went ahead and playtested this on a weapon with a 1.5 times crit multiplier, which is the lowest multiplier available. This basically means that anything with a larger crit multiplier will perform even better with Organ Shatter than the results you see here. Now, at the bottom of the barrel is a 90% elemental mod that applies no bonuses towards the enemy faction and does not contribute to an elemental combo. On a single swing, it'll only crit for 2,118 points of damage. Next up is a 60% status elemental mod used to strengthen an existing elemental combo with a 75% bonus. This crits for 2,180. Now, clearly, depending on weakness and resistance, or whether the target is armored or not, a 90% elemental mod with a 50% damage bonus may meet or slightly exceed this total. I always suggest choosing the element with the bonus against armor if you are not running Armor Shred. Now, because the Broken War has 80% of its damage in slashing, I figured I'd toss in a 120% physical damage mod, which landed its critical hit at 2,202. Now, keep in mind that this is against a non-armored unit. If you were to go up against an armored unit with no form of Armor Shred, the elemental combo with a 75% advantage would easily win out on it. Moving on, if you have the option of using a Bane Mod, a crit with one equipped will deal 2,274 points of damage. This is great if the enemy faction you're up against has varying elemental weaknesses, granting you a stable damage bonus that doesn't necessarily rely on the element. Climbing the ladder, we swap that out for a Spoiled Strike. Now, I'm not factoring in the loss in attack speed to the overall DPS, because with a fully charged Berserker, you may not even notice it. Regardless, on a standard critical strike, this will deal 2,325 points of damage. And of course, with no surprise, Organ Shatter tops the charts with a whopping 3,320 points on a crit, making it a must-have in a crit build that can fit it in. Of course, when it comes to damage mods, it always goes base damage mods first, elemental combo second, then splash damage like Organ Shatter. Now, this is actually an addendum to the section that I recorded a couple days later, so if it sounds a little bit different from the rest of the audio, I'm sorry. However, in the next section, I'm going to cover instances where you can use True Steel to push certain weapons into consistent red crits. So I figured that since these builds tend to be extremely tight, why not test yellow crits from Organ Shatter against red crits from True Steel? Now, after a little digging, I found the weapons that fall into this category have a minimum of a 2 times critical multiplier, so that's as low as I could possibly go for test purposes. Now, as you can see, sitting at a 2.5 times combo counter, my red crits are consistently doing 7,871 points of damage on a single swipe. However, with Organ Shatter equipped in True Steel's place, with the same combo counter, I'm doing 9,968 points of damage. Mystery solved! So if you only have one spot left in your build, go with Organ Shatter. So with that section out of the way, now we'll take a look at when and why you'd want to use Body Count and Blood Rush with True Steel, when you can get away with using it on its own, and the effects of Narrow Mod's Deadly Intent. Now let me start off with my mentality. As you note, the Body Count and Blood Rush combo relies on the combo counter to grant you bonus critical chance. Now, while it is more than possible to reach a 4 times combo counter, which requires 1,215 consecutive strikes, and even a 4.5 times combo counter, requiring 3,645, a more realistic measure would sit at a 2 times counter, which only requires 15, and a 2.5 times combo counter, which requires you to strike enemies 45 times. So that is where I am setting the sweet spot. Now, if you're only concerned with getting consistent yellow crits, you can go as low as using the Body Count and Blood Rush combo without any additional crit mods on a weapon with 15% critical chance. At a 2 times combo counter, you'll be critting 64% of the time, and at a 2.5 times, you'll be critting 74% of the time. Now, when it comes to using True Steel on a weapon, there are only 3 instances where I feel that the mod really makes a difference. First, you can use True Steel on a weapon with 10% crit in order to push it to the 16% mark to get consistent yellow crits like I had previously noted. Secondly, you can use it to push a weapon with a 20% critical chance into consistent red crit territory. You can also do this with a weapon that's at a 25% critical chance if you don't want to use the Narrowmon focus in your build. The formulation for this is really interesting as Blood Rush actually takes your modded critical chance and multiplies that total, instead of just combining it with True Seal's total. So now your weapon with 20% critical chance has been bumped up to 32%. Under the effects of body count and Blood Rush, it would have a 37% chance to red crit with a 2x combo counter, and a 64% chance to crit with a 2.5x combo counter, while a weapon with a base critical chance of 25% jumps up to 40% and adopts those totals on the chart. Now the reason that I don't use True Seal at the 15% mark is the fact that I personally don't feel that True Seal pumps it up enough to get consistent red crits until you get into the 3x combo mark. So it kind of ends up being a waste of a mod slot unless you're in the type of mission that allows you to score that many hits, and you manage to never ever let your combo counter drop. Otherwise, it will take you 135 hits to get back to the 3x combo. And the reason I'd suggest against using it on weapons with 30% crit or more is because weapons in that range just don't need it to start grabbing consistent red crits. Now, as you can see, I've left the Narrowmon Deadly Intent focus for last, and that's mainly due to the possibility of it being changed in a future update. Now, this option in the focus tree improves your chance to crit by 30% and basically acts like another crit mod. In the formula, this is actually added with True Steel, potentially giving you a combined total of 90% increased chance to crit, which is absolutely great for weapons with 20% crit chance, as it really solidifies their red crit potential. And as I said earlier, if you don't want to use a mod slot for True Steel on a weapon with 25% base crit, Narrowmon's Deadly Intent will bring that up to 32.5%, which will give it a solid red crit potential on its own. Now, just for clarification, there are some people out there that are going to wonder where fixed critical buffs like the Adarza's Cat's Eye and Arcane Avenger's triggers are going to sit. I can 100% confirm that they are not affected by body count and Blood Rush in any way. The only reason I'm tossing this out there is that the wiki article currently says that they are. But if that were the case, a single trigger of Cat's Eye, which grants a 60% fixed critical buff, would have me seeing 100% red crits at a 1.5x combo counter, and that definitely is not the case. Now, here is a quick TLDR if all of that information gave you a brain ache. First off, if you have the space for it after your base damage and elemental combo, make sure to include Organ Shatter before any other splash damage, as it will grant you the biggest bonus. If you are only looking for consistent yellow crits, then you can use the body count and Blood Rush combo on a weapon with as little as 15% crit chance. If you're willing to add in a True Steel to a weapon with 10% crit, body count and Blood Rush can provide consistent yellow crits for that as well. To get consistent red crits without the use of outside modifiers, a melee weapon needs at least 30% base crit chance. However, equipping True Steel on a weapon with 20 to 25% crit will push it into consistent red crit territory, and adding in Narrowmon's Deadly Intent will further boost that efficacy. Now, if hearing numbers doesn't help you out, I'll go ahead and leave the TLDR in the description box below, as some people are more visual learners than they are auditory. Which brings me to this episode's sponsor, Audible.com, where you can start your 30-day trial using the link audible.com/I am just fucking with you. Nobody's gonna sponsor this piece of shit dog and pony show. Regardless, I hope y'all have a bit more clarification on how to optimize body count and Blood Rush for your own personal playstyle. Because as we know, getting up close and personal is only really fun when you're covered in bodily fluids. So thank you all for watching this episode of Doing It Raw. Be sure to check out my latest dev stream coverage on #confirmed, as well as my previous playtest on physical damage mods. Now, don't forget to do all the things that I asked you to do at the end of every one of these, and as always, stay educated as fuck. Okay, that is seriously the last research piece I want to do in a while. I need Titania, I need Necros Prime, I need balls or fairies or something to just give me a break from all these goddamn fucking numbers.